Yeah, first of all, Tom, thanks very much for joining us. I just wanted to ask, I mean, you've played under obviously a lot of very experienced managers. None of them seem to be able to get a tune out of Watford. And then yet here you come along with less than a year of coaching experience, and you're getting us playing for the first time in years. I mean, just have you perhaps maybe learned from the failures of previous managers?
Uh, Thanks for your comments, kind words. I wouldn't summarize it as have got us playing. It's only 15 games. I look at it. What I have got is the full buy-in of the players. That's one to do with how I was a respectful teammate, a respectful captain. Um, Two, creating a good environment, and that's a lot harder. It's a lot easier said than done, that one, and that's sort of good habits on a daily basis, nipping things in the bud that you don't like. Um, so that is a big part of my process to wire these players playing with so much heart and desire. And then a big chunk of work went into pre-season of yes, last season we thought we'd tightened ourselves up at the back, but we weren't sort of exciting enough. And then a big chunk of work went into pre-season. How do we turn solid performances, but also with an attacking balance? And we feel like we've got a good balance there. We didn't show the best version of ourselves at Sheffield United, but yeah, I try and learn from those who did it well rather than how not to do it from those that didn't do it so well. Um, but I'd be silly not to as well. Working under the likes of Sir Alex, thought Marco Silva was one that stands out for me. And yeah, I've taken little bits of everyone and but also authentic to myself.
Thank you. And there seems to be something of a reluctance from yourself to maybe throw in the younger players early on. I understand maybe you're trying to manage expectations with them, but is it sooner rather than later that we see the likes of Rocco Vata, maybe Quadro Bar starting games and Pierre Duomo?
Um, I mean, it's difficult when the team's doing so well. To get those players in, I feel like I'm not sure the number, but I think I've used a lot of players in the 6 games. Granted, some of them in the cup games and not in the league. Leo Ramirez making his first 2 appearances, so I'm not at all reluctant. That's certainly the wrong word. I think the Quadro Bar has been a real good impact for us. But when you have a winning team up to the last game, it's fairly stable. So it's certainly not a reluctance to play young players. It's just more the stability of the more senior ones has been pleasing, and the cup games have been sort of a showcase for the younger players, and I feel like they've done that really well. We've got some exciting ones in the building, and for sure you'll see them in the coming games.
Okay, yeah. Tom, something really refreshing so far to see about your management. You've not been afraid to change the shape during games. Is there a confidence from you that you sort of can get Watford playing well consistently outside of the 3-4-2-1 should the need arise?
Yeah, it's even when things are going well, I will never sit back and say that right, we plateau. Then I would always try and develop the team. Sometimes I'll get that wrong, and people might say, "Oh, why are you changing something that's working so well?" But I think even now we can get better. Certainly, out of possession, I think there's chances for us to get more pressure on the ball, and we'll work on that. And yeah, we have with the emergence of people like Vata and Bar. Sometimes these players are best in wide areas, and the current system we're playing doesn't lend itself to wingers. So 4-3-3 was something we went to in the Plymouth game successfully. It's something we went to Sheffield United game in unsuccessfully. So needs a little bit of work, that sort of alternative system, but it's something that will definitely develop us as a team and make us less predictable. And yeah, it's something that's on the horizon as the next part of work. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and just looking ahead to tomorrow, obviously we just had the international break. Coventry maybe not at the best of starts, whereas obviously we've done very, very well so far. Do you feel like maybe 2 weeks off could sort of maybe derail us a little bit, maybe lose our momentum? Whereas on the flip side, it could help maybe Coventry recoup and they could certainly come back fighting.
No, no, not at all. I wouldn't use it, plant that seed, and I certainly wouldn't use it as an excuse. I felt like our players have been, I think we were one of the first clubs to return for pre-season. So 17th of June to the 1st of September was a big chunk of work from the players. And they all needed a rest. I think we looked a little bit flat at Bramall Lane, and it looked like a team who needed a couple of days rest. So I think that came at a good time. We've managed to reset, recharge, improve. And yeah, I would not say that the break has benefited us less than Coventry. Both teams had players away in the break, maybe possibly them more affected with Wright and Latibeaudiere playing far away. But listen, everyone's sort of in the same boat when it comes to the breaks, and what I would say is it looked like a squad of players that needed a bit of a rest, and for me it was a positive at the time it came.